What is up, ladies and gentlemen of the online Jamily? JamiroFan 2000 here with yet another episode of JamiroFan Talks About. This, of course, is in my discussion series of nearly 10 years here on the JamiroFan 2000 YouTube channel, looking at the past, present, and future of over 30 years of Jamiroquai. And this episode is going to be dealing with some upcoming apparent reissues to coincide with the 25th anniversary of the Summersonic Festival that are going to be playing for 2 straight days over in Osaka and Tokyo, Japan, which Jamiroquai is one of the headliners. According to HMV Japan and, of course, Tower Records Japan, it appears that there's going to be 3 special commemorative Summersonic 25th anniversary vinyl reissues of the first 3 Jamiroquai albums, but for the first time in the Japanese marketplace, in analog reissues on vinyl. This information came from websites over, like I said, at Tower Records Japan and, of course, HMV Japan. But what is so key about these vinyl reissues, in addition to them being special editions only for the Japanese marketplace, and these 3 vinyl editions will be, of course, for Mercy on Planet Earth, Return to the Space Cowboy, and, of course, Traveling Without Moving. But these vinyl reissues are going to be the analog format, which we don't regularly see in vinyl reissues of previous Jamiroquai albums. And this begs the question, are these going to be direct analog reissues of the first pressings of Jamiroquai's first 3 albums, which many eagle-eyed members of the Jami know that the first 2 Jamiroquai albums had extended versions of some of the album tracks on those early analog first pressings of Jamiroquai's first 3 albums on vinyl. So that really begs the question if that's going to happen. But this information comes to us from HMV's Japan and, of course, over at Tower Records Japan. And like I said, there's no cover art right now for these vinyl reissues, but this is not the first time that the Japanese marketplace, at least in regards to an upcoming major Jamiroquai tour leg, that they've reissued Jamiroquai albums to coincide with this appearance by Jamiroquai, in this case at the 25th anniversary of Summersonic. Now, these vinyl reissues of the first 3 Jamiroquai albums for the 25th anniversary Summersonic edition, like I said, are going to be analog, and these the track lists of all 3 of these album reissues are the same track list running time of the previous reissues of Jamiroquai's first 3 albums, so don't think there's any like bonus tracks or remixes per album reissue. But they're going to be running for a price tag of 6,600 yen, and they're going to be coming out on July 29th of 2026, only in the country of Japan. Now, I'm sure pictures of these vinyl reissues and more information is going to be forthcoming, but these are being reissued, of course, by Sony Music, who pretty much have them in their musical legacy recordings catalog. But there are sales listings on aforementionedly Tower Records Japan and, of course, HMV Japan's website. So if you'd like to check out these sales listings for these 3 reissues in analog vinyl, at least for Japan's marketplace for the first time, and check out the track list, of course, they're in Japanese, so be sure to use your browser-enabled translator, or go over and use translate.google.com to actually read these descriptions of these for 3 reissues of the first 3 Jamiroquai albums for the first time in the Japanese marketplace in analog. I'll be sure to put at least all 3 of those on both, respectively, the HMV website Japan and Tower Records Japan down in the description area of this episode of JamiroFan Talks About down below. So be sure to check those out. And if any more information pertaining to these 3 reissues for the Japanese marketplace come out, I'll be sure to cover them in the future videos here on the JamiroFan 2000 YouTube channel. But let's move on to one more story I thought I'd cram into this episode of JamiroFan Talks About, pertaining to a 9th Jamiroquai album new song that I recently discovered on Music Copyright Repertories online, and its induction possibly in the soundtrack of The Devil Wears Prada 2. Now, as previously discussed here on the JamiroFan 2000 YouTube channel, a new 9th album track, at least non-confirmed, made its way on a lot of music copyright repertories or search engines just recently, of a song called Diskokid. Well, just recently, the soundtrack for the highly anticipated sequel to The Devil Wears Prada, Devil Wears Prada 2, just recently came out, and to our delight and surprise, some published articles about this soundtrack include a 9th Jamiroquai album song, which coincidentally is very closely spelled to Diskokid, but it's called Diskokid. Now, here's the weird wrinkle of this story. According to some published articles, there is a 9th Jamiroquai album track called Diskokid that is part of this soundtrack that is now streaming on all major streaming platforms. But according to some other published articles about this soundtrack, The Devil Wears Prada 2, there is no Jamiroquai track called Diskokid. Now, like I said, this is conflicting reports on this major story, but Jamiroquai's music was in the Devil Wears Prada 1 first movie. So it's kind of interesting that Jamiroquai's 9-track Diskokid would be reported by some of these entertainment websites in regards to this soundtrack for The Devil Wears Prada 2. So I did reach out to Interscope and Hollywood Records on Instagram, and if I get any answer back on a confirmation or denial of this track being streaming on potentially a geo-locked regional version of that soundtrack, maybe in the European Union or Asia or what have you, I'll be sure to cover that in a future video here on the JamiroFan 2000 YouTube channel. But I thought, given this is the 9th album track and it's on a soundtrack apparently, according to some articles, and according to some, not on some articles, once we get some clarity on that, I'll be sure to report more information on that once it becomes available. I might even reach out to my contact at Jamiroquai HQ to see if indeed there is a 9th Jamiroquai track, but it's geo-locked on another soundtrack, or at least a regional soundtrack for this movie, maybe in the European Union, upon maybe I don't know, maybe a deluxe edition of this soundtrack or what have you. But that's it for this episode of JamiroFan Talks About. I hope you like this episode, and if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe, and ding the bell on your YouTube. Stay up to date on all the latest new content coming to the JamiroFan 2000 YouTube channel as we roll into May of 2026. And like I said, we're going to be in for some very exciting times, which much more news hopefully coming about Jamiroquai Album 9, its first single, track list, release date of the first single and the album, and hopefully more tour edition confirmations to be coming here, like I reported earlier on many videos here on the JamiroFan 2000 YouTube channel for the early part of May of 2026. But as always, this is JamiroFan 2000, and I'll see you again really soon with more Jamiroquai related content here on the JamiroFan 2000 YouTube channel. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care. Exciting times, and I'll see you around.